Just a horrific situation going on there. 7:37 in the morning. That's a look at your headlines now. Here's Janice.
Time for Money Tuesday today, and we are talking about something that everybody has to deal with at some point in time in life, and that's when someone dies and your loved one, you have to pay taxes after they die. So we're talking about how to avoid the cost, the time, and the aggravation of probate, which is, Stewart, what you have to go through when this happens, right?
Yeah, in most cases you do have to go through that, and this was actually someone sent me an email and asked, is there a way to avoid this? I'd like to put it in a trust. And there's this concept called a revocable living trust. And what it is, a trust that you create during your lifetime that is revocable, which means you can change all the provisions in it. And what you do is you set this trust up and you begin to move your stuff into it, like the title to your bank accounts, your brokerage accounts, your real estate.
Okay.
And to the extent you get all of that into that trust and then you die, then you avoid the probate process. So the probate is a court administered process where there's a probate judge who says, I'm going to take your assets that are in your name and I'm going to move them over here to what your will says, where your will says they should go, typically children. And if you die without a will, the probate judge still involved, but now he's using the state administered will. It's kind of the state writes their will for you and uses whatever the law says in that particular state to get those assets over. So this is a way of avoiding that.
So does it matter what kind of, what you have, if you have land or homes or whatever, and does it matter what you've amassed over time, or does this work for anyone, or is it? It
will actually work for anyone. So Janice, if you lived in California or New York, everybody uses a revocable living trust because probate costs are very expensive. Okay. Alabama happens to be a fairly low probate cost state. It's not really high, but I'm still seeing really big checks written. I saw one not too long ago. It was about a $3 million estate, but still the probate costs, the checks that were written to take it through probate was about $25,000.
Wow.
And setting up a trust like this is a lot less expensive than that.
All right, so how does this make it the revocable living trust? How does that work? Why are we allowed to do that, and why does it make such a difference?
Well, the second thing is that using a revocable living trust is a private process, whereas probate is a public process. So after somebody dies, you can literally spend a few bucks, go down and find out what was in their estate. This keeps it private. Well, the reason is that you've actually set up a trust and you've retitled the assets into the name of a trust. And because a trust doesn't die, when you die, it just stays in the trust, and it actually technically moves from a revocable trust typically at that point to an irrevocable trust, and the trustee, who's you during your lifetime, transfers to whoever you choose, and that person then makes sure those assets get moved into the names of the people that you want it to go to.
So the will's still sending things where you want them, it's just being handled differently.
Well, you have a will,
right,
but the will says if you didn't get anything in your trust, we're going to pop it over into your trust at your death and make sure it all flows according to that trust.
All right, if you have questions, obviously check with your expert that you may use and see if you need some help in that. Thanks, Stewart. Good to see you.
Thanks,
Stewart Welch. All right, still ahead.